the CU Buffs. 15-1 on the season. That is their best start since the 1992-93 season, and they remain perfect at home. They are the real deal. Colorado beating Stanford 71-59.
What a victory for the CU women's basketball program as Colorado knocks off number 8 Stanford in a top 10 matchup at the event center. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Buffalo Stampede. Voice of the Buffs, Mark Johnson. Boy, she's the toast of Boulder, Colorado right now, J.R. PAYNE. Well, you got to be having a little bit of fun, don't you?
We are having a lot of fun. Yes, the games have been great. Practices are great. We're feeling good. It's been a great year so far.
That, by the way, the first top 10 matchup for the Buffaloes here in town since 1994.
Yeah.
A nip and tuck game for the entire first half.
It was a tough game. Yeah, we actually kind of came out slowly. We were down, had to call a timeout to try to, get us going. And sub Kendall Wetta in the game, and she changed the game, and the rest is history.
I said to Tad after the game the other night against USC, I said it must have been a heck of a halftime speech. You guys go on a 20-2 run and say, what did you say at halftime?
Honestly, I don't really remember. And then I didn't even realize it was such a big run. I mean, I know it was a run, but 20-2. Sometimes we'll go in periods where we can score really well, but when you can score and get stops at the same time, to have a run like that saved our bacon, I think.
A lot of times when a team gets a run, it can be hot shooting, it can be great defense. What was it for you?
Both.
Yeah.
I mean, both. To be able to do them at the same time, I think, against such a good team, so well coached, so veteran-laden, like Stanford's really good, so to be able to do that, I think you had to be pretty good on both ends.
The one thing I've always thought in sports, you see teams that start to achieve greatness, and you can, if you look backwards, you can kind of see the table being set.
Yeah.
The way you've built this program. During that process was having success against, let's be honest, a standard bearer in women's basketball has been Stanford. You start having success against them. And so now when Colorado plays Stanford, your team just thinks, well, it's just a game we play.
Yeah, and it's interesting because we've always played Stanford in particular very tough, even when truly we had no business, really competing the way that we were. So something about that team, has always kind of sparked us. But over the past few years, we've continued, as you said, to get better and better, and then having some big wins, UCLA, Oregon, different teams that historically we couldn't beat. I think that's just created an environment now where we truly believe we can beat anybody.
This ball game in the backcourt, you mentioned Kendall Wetta. Jalen Sherrod, Kendall Wetta were outstanding all day long, weren't they?
Oh, my goodness, yeah. The two of them are, they're both pretty consistently good. When they're special like that, they can change the game offensively and defensively. It's a pretty great thing for a coach.
The way this thing continues to build, JR, you continue to win. You continue to have marquee games and marquee wins. What does that do for a team then as it moves on?
We're just confident. We feel very good about who we are, what we're about, what we're made of. We know how we respond. Things aren't always going to be sunshine and roses. When things start to go sideways, we know what we need to do to come back together, regroup, refocus, and get back, where we need to be.
That's part of the maturation process and kind of having a championship mentality, right?
Definitely.
The fact that you don't focus on what just went wrong, you just know you're going to be right moving forward.
Yeah, and we're vocal. Like our veterans talk in our timeouts almost as much as I talk. When things aren't going the way we want them to, they help kind of correct the ship and, figure out what we need to do and how we're going to get there. And it's a pretty fun group to coach.
So the Buffaloes right now, number 3 in the country, to get a big victory over Stanford. Afterward, we heard from the players. Presented by Coors Light. Coors Light, mountain cold refreshment made to chill. Celebrate responsibly.
When we talked to Coach Payne coming off the floor at halftime, she mentioned Kendall Wetta's the best defender in this league. How much pride do you take in that defensive effort in your game?
Yeah, so much. Ever since I've come here as a freshman, that's kind of been my thing is I can impact the game in a defensive way whenever I step on the floor. And so I take a lot of pride in that.
How much do you hear, I'm curious, when you're on the floor, you get some of those quick steals, you force some of those turnovers, you got to hear some of the chatter, right?
Oh, yeah, I love it. It's fun. I don't respond, but I definitely hear it.
There's some of the post-game comments as the Buffaloes knock off Stanford in that top 10 matchup. The crowd, by the way, was spectacular for this ball game. Over 9,000 fans in that game, and I know your team was feeding off that.
They were incredible. The team is playing well. We're feeling good. All of that is great. To have that type of fan support, we've never had it, like that. We've played in front of big crowds at Oregon or, wherever, but to have them at home is so special, and it means everything to us.
What does it say to you and this team, though, and about this, the Buff Nation and the basketball community, the way they're jumping on board here and supporting this program?
Yeah, it means so much. We've seen big crowds at men's games. We've had a couple couple bigger crowds, over the years. But I really, truly feel like this is becoming, at least for this part of the year, a basketball town. 10,000 at the men's game, 9,000 at our game. I'm hoping that that's going to continue because it means so much to our players.
Jerry, where you're sitting right now, I mean, you're number 3 in the country. You've got major wins this season. You now become the hunted at this point. I mean, no, you're not sneaking up on anybody anymore, right?
No, we're not sneaking up on anyone.
Right.
The great thing about our team, we've built our program on under-recruited, but really tough, hardworking kids. You know what I mean? That's sort of our DNA is blue collar. We outwork people. We want to be really tough. So even though we do have a 3 in front of our name, and that is incredible and so well-deserved, by our team, we're naturally wired to feel a little salty, to feel like, okay, we got something to prove. Chip on our shoulder. And so the ranking really doesn't matter to us. Like, it's wonderful. We're proud of it. It's great, but we just want to win, and we're trying to take everybody out.
There are 2 ways you can go. You can get drunk in your own wine, as Tam likes to say all the time, or you can just use that as continued, okay, we've achieved something, we want to achieve more. Right?
Want to achieve more. And we also recognize that the reason that we're in this position is because of the work we've put in.
Last, before we let you go, we talk about the first top 10 matchup since 1994. This Friday night, UCLA, number 2 comes to town. First top 5 matchup ever.
It will be incredible, and we're really hoping to have a sellout. In the event center will be the first one in a really long time for us. But it's going to be 2 of the best teams in America, squaring off Friday night.
You want to talk about a heavyweight matchup? Friday night, be there. J.R. Payne, the Buffaloes, number 3, take on number 2, UCLA, at the event center. We'll take a timeout. We're talking men's hoops coming up next.